expect it to be a below to near normal season. They stress the time to prepare is now, and that means all your coastal communities from Florida up through even Virginia. So speaking of Florida, the National Hurricane Center in Miami held a press conference today to update folks on what they can do to prepare for hurricane season. And again, June 1st is the start of hurricane season. And I just want to know, on the bottom of the corner, on the bottom of our screen, as we watched this press conference from moments ago, we are tracking storms moving across our area. So we want to update you on the forecast now, but also get you the needed information again as we're right now, day one, hurricane season. Let's take a listen in.
Focus on, well, what's the season going to be like, and the seasonal forecast and that messaging. But now that we're here, the focus is on the fact that there are going to be storms. You know, NOAA's forecast is for 8 to 14 named storms in the Atlantic, several hurricanes, 1 to 3 major hurricanes. We're expecting very busy years in the eastern and central Pacific basins. So the main message is now prepare. This is the time to get ready. And it does not take a major hurricane making landfall directly in your community for there to be hazardous conditions there. And this year more than ever, it really, that message of it only takes one storm affecting your community to make it a bad season for you and your family. So now is the time to find out, do you live in a storm surge evacuation zone? Know how you're going to evacuate, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, how you're going to prepare you and your family to survive potentially several days on your own within your community to keep you and your family safe. Multiple days, again, of food, water, medicine, anything you're going to need to keep you and your family safe. And find your trusted sources of information. Now more than ever, it's important to find those authoritative sources of information about the storm itself and the weather and the hazards it brings, as well as what you need to do to keep you and your family safe. So that starts here at the Hurricane Center with hurricanes.gov, your local National Weather Service office at weather.gov, your local emergency managers like Pete and Clay. Those local emergency officials are going to tell you what you need to do to keep you and your family safe. Find those sources of information now. Your local broadcast meteorologist, your local media, they're going to be the ones that can translate that information about the hazards, the storm surge, the winds, the flooding rainfall, the tornadoes, the surf and rip currents, and translate that information down into what you need to keep you and your family safe. So again, welcome here. I'm going to pass it on over to Acting FEMA Administrator Bob Fenton for a few words, and welcome, Bob. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Dr. Brennan, and glad to be back at the Hurricane Center. And I want to thank our partners from NOAA and all our other partners across the emergency management community. As we kick off hurricane season here, the one thing I want to get across is that FEMA is ready. FEMA is ready to support our state, tribal nations, territories, and local emergency managers that lead disaster response. Under President Trump and Secretary Mullen's leadership, FEMA is working to be not only leaner, faster, but also laser focus on our core mission, which is helping people before, during, and after disasters. FEMA's ready. We have over 20,000 personnel ready for this hurricane season. We have 18 of our national and regional incident management teams are able to deploy to disasters. We have 28 of our urban search and rescue teams that are partnerships ready to support. We have disaster emergency communication teams, 6 of those ready to respond this year. So we stand ready. But readiness is far more than what we have ready to go at the federal level. It's really all the preparedness that starts year-round. And over the last year and a half, since January 2025, we've trained over 1 million state, local, tribal, territorial emergency managers, local leaders, and others through courses that we provide through FEMA. In addition to that, our FEMA logistics teams are out right now working with states and local governments to understand their capabilities, but more importantly, understand where the gaps are so we ensure that we're ready to support those. And in addition to what we're doing to get ready, we have a lot of ongoing disaster recovery happening right now across the United States from the last year of hurricanes. Over the last year, we provided over $830 million of assistance to individuals from the last years of events, and we provide over $11.4 billion and over 13,000 grants to cover restoration of damaged infrastructure. It's also about partnerships, and the partnerships you see here today are critical to the success of emergency management. Those partnerships with states, tribal nations, local governments that are in the lead for disasters. FEMA stands ready to support those entities with federal resources and to coordinate the federal government's support to states and local emergency managers. Our partnership here today with NOAA and emergency managers helps ensure the public gets accurate information when needed to make the best decisions in order to protect the public. The 2026 hurricane season overlaps with a number of other major events to include FIFA World Cup and Americans 250 celebration. We are making sure that we not only prepare for hurricane season but cover those events, so we established a task force to focus on those events this year that will not draw away from the resources we have ready to respond to hurricane season. In addition to that, we provide over almost $900 million to states and local governments to prepare for those special events this year. Bottom line, states and communities lead. FEMA and our federal partners are ready to support. One of the key members, and Dr. Brennan talked about it, is Americans all over the country. And we need to make sure that even with all the planning and coordination we're doing, that every American has a critical role to play in disasters. The time to prepare is now, and that time has to happen before a storm is on the way. So make sure that you have a plan. Make sure that you build a kit, stay informed, sign up for alerts, pay attention to trusted sources, whether it be the National Hurricane Center or your local officials. And the other key thing is make sure that you have insurance, whether that be insurance or flood insurance is critical. It takes about 30 days for flood insurance to become active policy. In disasters, it's shown us that insurance pays far more than what we have paid for disasters. If you look back at studies over the last 5 years, insurance pays almost about $80,000 on your losses to your home, whereas FEMA pays on average about $4,500. So to recover whole, insurance is critical to that. In closing, I just want to underline a couple things, that FEMA will continue to work closely with our partners at NOAA, with governors, tribal leaders, local officials, and emergency managers across the nation. President Trump has nominated Cam Hamilton for the FEMA administrator, and we have been connected at the hip as he goes through the Senate confirmation process. He's ready to, and once he goes through that, he'll be ready to assume, if confirmed, the role of the FEMA administrator. And so we work very closely together to make sure that that happens seamlessly as we go into this hurricane season. Just want to say he's a great American and will be a great partner to our communities and our states and local governments, and a great leader in emergency management. We're committed in FEMA to support communities before, during, and after disasters, strengthen our partnerships, and help individuals, families get better prepared. I appreciate your continued coordination of these partnerships. And now I'd like to invite Miami-Dade Emergency Manager Pete Gomez to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dr. Brennan. As you see here, this is what we talk about collaboration. We're here with some of our partners that help respond to all these disasters. And Bob mentioned it, it's about preparing for the community. Make sure that you prepare. I always like to say this story. I'm one of the members of one of the 28 national urban search and rescue teams. And I've responded to a bunch of disasters throughout this country. And when we've gone to many of these hurricane-stricken areas like Katrina, Mississippi, the west coast of Florida, a lot of times there's destruction like you wouldn't believe. And I asked the survivors, why didn't you evacuate? And it was always the same story. It was because we lived through hurricane such and such, and we thought this one wasn't going to be as bad. And to Dr. Brennan's point is, all it takes is one. It doesn't matter if you got 3 named storms or you got 8 to 16 storms that are going to be coming this way. All it takes is one. The last time Miami-Dade got hit with a real bad weather event wasn't even a hurricane. It was 2017 Irma, and as it came through Miami-Dade County, it was not a Category 1 hurricane. I know that because Rob Moyeda told me that from the National Weather Service, and yet it caused hundreds of millions of dollars in damaged buildings and debris and response to this thing. So what I like to say to the community is, please be prepared. You heard it from Bob Fenton, right? Create a kit, have a plan, know your evacuation zones, know whether you're in a storm surge zone or what storm surge zone you're in, and know whether you got to leave. The wind isn't the most dangerous aspect of the risk of hurricanes and storms. It's the water, right? We hide from the wind and we run from the water. So if you live on the East Coast, that means you're going to get some storm surge and some of these hurricanes. Just know where you're going to go. That should be part of your plan. Doesn't mean you got to leave the state of Florida. It just means you got to get out from that storm surge zone and go to an area that's going to be safe. Doral is a great place to come to Hialeah. Some of these places that are higher, away from the coast, and just make sure you get into a safe building. Know who you're going to go to. Notify your family members, say you're coming. As part of your plan, if you've got medical conditions and you take medications, make sure you have your medications. Make sure you have a new prescription, because if power goes out, you might not be able to get an electrical prescription from the doctor's office, right? If you got animals, right, know what you're going to do with the animals. We have pet-friendly shelters. We can bring you to a pet-friendly shelter. If you got medical conditions, if you're an elderly patient and you need us to come get you, we encourage you to sign up for the Emergency Evacuation Assistance Program that Miami-Dade handles. We will actually come and get you and take you to an evacuation shelter, right? And if you are going to be going to an evacuation shelter, know what you got to bring, right? And as you prepare, you're preparing your kit, know what you got to bring in that kit. Have enough food, right, for 3 to 7 days. Have enough water, 1 gallon of water per person per day. So you got to know all these things. If you're going to evacuate, make sure your gas is topped off on your vehicles. If you got a boat, the admiral's going to close down those bridges at some point. Know what you're going to do with your boat. That should be part of your plan, right? So now's the time to make sure you got all those things squared away. If you got a lot of things around your house, secure them, because they become projectiles in storms. Now's the time to make sure you get all those things. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to introduce my partner in crime from Broward County, Clay Pacheco.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I'd like to thank NOAA, the National Weather Service, and all the hardworking folks there in the peanut gallery watching this press conference, because the work they do is essential for us. That data that they provide helps me, helps my elected officials make those life-saving decisions to have the call for an evacuation, to close schools, and those type of important decisions we need to make. One thing I want to mention, it's been over and over again, everybody's saying it, is preparedness. I'm happy to announce today that Broward County has launched an emergency management app as of today. It's on Apple and Google Play. Please download it. A lot of the stuff we're talking about is on there for you. If you prefer to go to our website, broward.org/hurricane, we have our evacuation maps there. We also have disaster checklists for your whole family. Shelters are listed, how to register for the special needs shelter that Pete was mentioning, where we pick you up and drop you off after the storm. Very important stuff you can do on the website or on the app now. One of the things I want to jump on is, most importantly, I preach to everyone. Every outreach event I go to, I mention coming up with a plan, having your disaster plan, sitting with your friends, your family, and your neighbors, especially elderly residents that may live in your neighborhood, may live on your block, and sort of help them develop a plan so everybody's on the same page and understands what to do when Pete and I go on TV and tell everybody it's time to evacuate. If we're telling you that, as Pete said, in the past, I was here for Wilma. I just got back 2 years ago, but during Wilma, I recall, I sent my family to Jacksonville. They were stuck in traffic for 12 hours. Not a good move. All you've got to do is get away from the wind and run from the water. And what that means, specifically in Broward County, if you have to cross a barrier island, if you have to get onto a barrier island over a bridge, please just go west. That's Hurricane Zone A. Hurricane Zone B for Broward County is US 1 and east. Anything west of that, you should be good as far as storm surge based on our topography. But the other thing I wanted to mention was readiness is now, time to be prepared is now. I cannot thank again NOAA, FEMA, Admiral, and the team that's here, Pete, working with all of us as partners. The coordination and collaboration in our region is unprecedented. As someone who's been doing this 3 decades now all across the country, we have an unbelievable team here, not just of meteorologists, practitioners, emergency managers, law enforcement, fire, search and rescue teams that make all the difference in the time of a response. Thank you for your time.